Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sebastian. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, as you guys know, Nikola Jokic just won the NBA championship, and first of all, congratulations to him. I was happy to see him win. It was good to have a new face as a champion, so I have absolutely no issue with Nikola Jokic winning an NBA championship whatsoever, at all, none whatsoever, none whatsoever. And I'm and I'm genuinely happy for him, right? Good for him, because the guy, you know, he's a hell of a player. He got disrespected a lot throughout the way. So it's good to see him kind of get vindicated and, you know, get his just due. So that's good. But as usual, what usually happens around this time of the year is whenever you have a player that's in the finals playing well, and a lot of us assume that he's going to win an NBA championship, it starts to bring up, you know, the big, you know, the all-time comparisons. Who is this guy? Is he better than this guy? Is he better than that guy? You know, where does he rank all time? And we've been seeing a lot of people jump out of the window. One of those people has been Chris Broussard. Chris Broussard, man, just be jumping all out the window, right? And this was also exhibited yesterday on ESPN First Take. They were now asking the question: is Nikola Jokic the most dominant big man of all time? Oh no, excuse me, the most skilled big man of all time. And I'm like, wow, we're here already. But that's what happens, prisoner of the moment type of stuff. So it's to be expected. Next year for someone else is going to be the same thing. Now, that doesn't take away from his greatness, obviously, but it's just par for the course. That's just the way it is. It's always been that way. So recently we produced this show, and you know, there were some people out there basically saying, you know, is Nikola Jokic more dominant than Shaq? When I heard people bringing that up, I was absolutely confounded by that, because I couldn't believe people were actually thinking this, like that Nikola Jokic is more dominant than Shaquille O'Neal. I couldn't believe it, but there were some people out there, and a lot of these people were using their argument, they were driving their point using stats, right? And I think it's a bad way to start off an argument when you're having this particular argument, because it's exposing the fact that you didn't watch Shaq play. Because if you watch Shaquille O'Neal play, you would not be saying that. Basketball is not a stats game. Yes, stats are generated, but you have to watch the game as well. And stats can lie. I'll give you an example of this. Yesterday, there was a segment on First Things First. Nick Wright was comparing Jimmy Butler to some other all-time, you know, some other performers in the playoffs, and he's just putting up stats. And Chris Broussard was like, these are stupid stats because they have no context. And the minute he gave the stats context, those stats became meaningless. So you also got to look at the context, and in this case, you actually have to watch Shaq. And for anyone to say that Nikola Jokic is more dominant than Shaq, it means that you didn't really watch Shaq play, because Shaq would dominate a game with his physicality, and you know, so I was surprised at that. But apparently, Shaquille O'Neal caught a whiff of this argument. You know, and he finally responded yesterday on his Instagram. But before we get into his response, this video is brought to you by sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards, only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is we want to show exactly what Shaq said. We got this via fadeawayworld.net. So Shaq, basically, we're going to put it up here. He posted in this story a number of hours ago, and he had a side-by-side comparison, 2023 Finals MVP, Nikola Jokic versus Shaq's numbers in 2002. These finals, Nikola Jokic put up 30.2 points per game, 14 rebounds, 7.2 assists, 1.4 blocks, 0.7 steals on 58% shooting, 42% shooting from three, 83.8% shooting. And then Shaq in 2002, he put up 36.3, 12 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 2.8 blocks, 0.5 steals per game. And then he shot 59% from the field, 0% from the three, 66% from the free throw line. So that's the comparison there, right? So these are the numbers. Now, just by looking at these numbers, man, these numbers can tell you whatever you want them to tell you. First of all, these are both dominant numbers, but I know some people, you see, the thing that people are going to hold to basically say that Nikola Jokic is more dominant than Shaq is two things. They're going to say he's assists the ball more and he's a better three-point shooter. That's it. And I think that would be the wrong way to construct your argument. Number one, bigs were not shooting threes back then at all. So I can't pat you on the back for saying that you shoot a higher three-point shooting percentage than Shaq when no one was shooting threes back then. Shaq didn't attempt any threes. So for you to say, well, he shot a better percentage, yeah, but he didn't attempt any threes. Why didn't Shaq attempt any threes? Because he didn't need to. He didn't need to. Shaq was getting his way with everyone. Shaq was dominating players, all-time great defensive players like Tim Duncan, like Dikembe Mutombo, like David Robinson. These caliber of bigs that Shaq was going against. So in that era, they didn't shoot three, so I'm not going to give you that. The assist part, again, I think a lot of that has to do with the system. Nikola Jokic, the system really runs through him because he initiates the offense a lot. You even see him pushing the ball coming up the court, which is a unique skill that he has. But Shaq didn't need to do that because what Shaq would do in a break, he would just literally run to the paint or post up or seal at the rim and then bang it on you. That was it. Two different styles, but Shaq was way more effective because you couldn't stop Shaq in the post. Two defenders couldn't stop Shaq. Sometimes you would need three. So Shaq would impose his physicality. So if we're talking about dominance, to me, it's a no-brainer Shaq. If you don't believe me, go watch highlights of Shaq play. There's no way you can watch highlight videos of Shaq and then come out and say, well, I think Nikola Jokic can dominate a game more. No, he can affect a game more. Yes, with his passing and all of that. But in terms of dominating a game, absolutely not. Absolutely not. They were talking about Shaq would make free throws. Shaq would foul out your entire team. Shaq would absolutely foul out your entire team. Shaq would wreak havoc. Shaq was the one factor you could not factor for. Because the minute you post up Shaq, he would immediately slow down. Shaq would slow down an entire basketball game just by posting him up. And he played out of the triangle offense. He played out of the triangle offense, which is a totally different system than the system that some of these guys play in. And if you watch Shaq play, he was a great passer out of the double team. He was. But Shaq wasn't holding the ball at the middle of at the top of the paint and then, facilitate. That wasn't his game. A lot of these things that these other guys have, Shaq didn't need. Another thing that may be a little bit misleading is the rebounds. Today, there are more rebounds because there are more possessions. Teams are shooting more threes. So there are more possessions in the game. So therefore, there are going to be more rebounds. So a lot of these numbers are quite deceptive. And back then, 30 points, if you average 30 points in a game today, it is not the same as averaging 30 points in a game back then when teams were scoring about 105 points per game. It's not the same. Getting 30 points when a team scores 100 points is totally different than when a team scores 115 and you get 30. It's not the same. So is Nikola Jokic a great player? Absolutely. Is Shaq the more dominant player? Absolutely. Is Nikola Jokic the more skilled player? Absolutely. He is definitely more skilled, but in terms of dominant, that's a joke. That's a joke. And I think if you're trying to make that argument, it shows that you're a basketball neophyte. So these are my thoughts and opinions. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next one.